Welcome back to Loserville, folks. It's Philip Kingston and the victorious David De La Fuente.
Thanks for that.
How long does it take to get something done in the city of Dallas?
For me, it was 4 years, but I started early from like official City of Dallas start to finish. It took I guess 2 years.
The 1 to 8 unit residential code amendment took me three, but part of that is that the Broadenax administration ended and personnel changes stymied me
Yep,
because new people seem to refuse to believe that I already run all the traps for them.
that's funny.
So you and I both spent way too long at City Hall on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Um, they there were a variety of things going on. The agenda was massively overstuffed.
it was.
Um, and we can debate whether that was intentional to limit the amount of public input or not. It seems like the 3 hour executive session that they took in the middle of the fucking meeting might have also been a message to us plebes. But
It
yeah,
didn't help that consent calendar also took from like 9:30 until
they argued for
12:30.
an hour about things that were on consent.
Yeah.
What the fuck? These people talk too much. And I say that as someone who sat by Dwayne for years.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Um, and then I had to be in Houston yesterday for a 10 a.m. deal in Southeast Houston, which meant catching an 8 a.m. flight out of
Wait,
Love.
you didn't take the bullet train from Dallas to Houston
I
that was
wanted to.
completed previously? That
I wanted to. I would have taken Von Lane, but it doesn't get there early enough. And I just, but I did do a really cool thing. And if people want to go take a look at this, there's a great website called Zuri Gardens, Zuri. And it is a partnership between Cole Klein Builders in Houston, the city of Houston, county of Harris, and my client Hive Assembled, which is the second largest 3D print builder in the United States. And this
mm,
will be, it was the groundbreaking for what will be the largest and first affordable housing 3D printed community in the world,
that's
actually.
cool.
It's super cool. And I can't. So anyway, if we have listeners who are in the development game and want to use Hive, I will be glad to make the connection. As a matter of fact, don't call them without calling me because I need to get paid.
That's fair.
Where do you want to start?
I'd say either City Hall itself or November elections ordinance. Those were the two biggest things that actually got
Let's start
finished
with
on Wednesday.
November elections ordinance because it's a real win for David De La Fuente. Yes, there are
Yeah.
many people who were required to do many difficult things, but none of them would have been working on it without you, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I mean basically I mean some of it's like in the press and I've talked about some of it before, but like back in 2021, post that presidential election the year before, 2020, was basically feeling like, well, the world's gone to complete shit. I'll like get re-engaged here locally. I've always voted in municipal elections. Like I actually like in high school I volunteered on like Ed Oakley's mayoral campaign. In college, I volunteered on like Scott's first campaign for city council here in Oak Cliff. But was never like super involved on any campaign. So like in 2021, I was like, oh, I'll go knock on doors like every weekend just to feel like I'm doing something. And it was like a reawakening that like nobody knows an election is going on, even though we're actually targeting likely municipal voters, like, and I'm sure you experience it on your campaigns, but it was like, what do you mean we're voting again? Like I just voted, you know, 4 months ago, type of stuff, and it's the only thing on the ballot. Um, Another thing I actually don't think I've mentioned, but like my wife is from the East Coast, and the 2021 election cycle was the first time she was in Dallas. And she saw a yard sign in like, I don't know, probably January or February for city council. And she was like, that's weird. Like somebody kept their yard sign up still from like November. Like essentially like that's the level of like normal people just like do not understand that there's like elections going on in the spring.
Yeah,
Um,
I was able to increase turnout in District 14 either through my own efforts or through getting attacked by evil
yeah.
super PACs. Both of those things drive turnout.
Yeah, they do.
And we got we got our turnout up where it is basically level with District 13's turnout. And
Yeah.
so the numbers we're talking about there are 14%. Like
Yeah.
that's
It's really low.
considered sky high municipal turnout.
Yeah.
That would
Especially
be for a November bullshit election, constitutional amendment or whatever. That wouldn't be a great number.
yeah. And like if you consider like what District 14 is, like it is, pretty highly educated for Dallas standards, for the city standards, a little bit like wealthier, a little
And
bit
heavily
whiter,
politicized. It's the
heavily
birthplace
politicized.
of North Texas Democratic politics.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, in the past few years, District 14 has fallen back down to single digit turnout. Um, like the past, like I mean, last cycle's weird because like Paul Ridley was uncontested, but his 2023 race was single digits turnout. In D14. And so like
I don't think people knew he had an opponent.
it's partially true,
The term the results seem to indicate that very few people knew that that person existed.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, turnout across the city is like abysmal.
Yeah.
Just absolutely abysmal. And I was like, oh, let me see if there's anything that can be done about it. And like it actually became like really apparent. Like you mentioned and others I mentioned, like you can kind of like grassroots, like knock on doors or, spend a lot of money to get people engaged, but like you hit a cap occasionally. Like I think in D14 the highest turnout there's been in the past like 20 years is like 14%, and that was in the 2011 election. So I mean, still pretty dang low for a hotly contested race.
Yeah.
Um, and it became like obvious that like big structural change was needed. Um, as I started talking with people, it also became very obvious that like the most important people in the city, whether they be elected officials or other influential people, would never go for November even elections, which I felt like the arguments against that were genuine and real, essentially. Like
Why?
putting
I don't know those arguments.
it's generally, in the state of Texas, it's like federal, state, county elections are partisan, and political subdivisions below the county municipality, like the municipalities, the ISDs, the colleges, other
With the
places that
exception of
have,
City of Houston.
well, no, City of Houston's nonpartisan.
Oh, it
Their
is?
exception is that they're strong mayor.
No, they're strong mayor, but I think they also are partisan.
No, they're not. They're nonpartisan. It's actually there's a weird so every single municipality in the state of Texas has nonpartisan elections. There's technically a way through the election code that you could go to the state and request to change to partisan, but no one's ever done it because no one wants
So
to.
is the argument that they don't want partisanship seeping into, okay,
Yeah, and to be
I know that people have that sincere belief,
yeah,
but people also have a sincere belief in uh, you know, alien abduction.
I
It,
okay, but it's yes and no. And the no is very important here. And the no is that when you go to vote in November of an even numbered year for federal, state, and county stuff, some people research every race, choose who they like, but people, and I'm just going to admit I'm one of them, and I'm sure you're one of them too. there's like 40 things on the ballot, and I just click D, 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 D over and over and again. Like I just vote for the Democratic nominee because there's never really been a case where we have nominated somebody here that is like so egregious, at least on my ballot, that I'm like, I can't support the Democratic nominee as somebody who's, pretty left of center, especially for Texas standards. Versus
Well,
when you,
and I'm a horrible insider, and so
yeah,
I tend to have both more knowledge of what they're doing and also personal interactions with them. So I'm not
yeah,
totally like you. There
that's,
have been Democratic nominees and even incumbents who I will
yeah.
not vote for.
And you're
Uh,
talking general election as opposed to primary.
um, both we've had
Well,
people run.
primaries, yes.
Yeah,
Primaries, I do vote against,
yeah,
incumbents if I don't think they're
obviously.
doing a good job. Yeah.
Obviously, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
in there are Democratic incumbents, and it's not like I'm voting for the Republican challengers. I'm
Yeah.
just skipping their damn
You're just
race.
skipping the races. Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough. But again, for the most part, having like a 40 thing ballot in November of even numbered years when everything has a
and it's
partisan
not the big offices. It's always like a really bad judge.
really bad judge. Okay, fair. But we are getting to the point that like Republicans aren't even running nominees against them. So
Yeah.
those races are getting canceled. But I say all that to say it's like the partisan races allow somebody to not do a lot of research if they don't want to.
Hmm.
There's an easy out. Versus the nonpartisan races, you do need to do some research. And putting those nonpartisan races at the end of a partisan ballot, like we saw in November 2020, can create people just getting to the end of the ballot and going like, "What the fuck is he? What the fuck is this?"
Hmm.
And I think that is a genuine concern. We saw it in November 2020 here after COVID had the state cancel the May election. Everything got shifted to November. And I'm not saying the results were bad necessarily, but there were just real cases of like people would like go to the polls and they would hear that there was a nonpartisan race and just go, okay, which one's the Democrat? And then like in some races it was like, well, they're both Democrats, so you got to like pick one or not vote or do research, but they're already there. So it's just like it's real like it gets complicated. Like and like Austin has chosen to do this, El Paso has chosen to do this. Like I think they think it has worked out for them, but it is really like a choice, and you have some pros, some cons, versus like the system that Houston has, which is what I tried to emulate, is down in Houston, their city, their ISD, and their college all conduct elections in November of odd numbered years, where they are essentially the only thing on the ballot, plus the state constitutional amendments. Um, Everything is nonpartisan. You go into that knowing you need to research every single race, but
Yeah.
you essentially have a situation where you know, you can vote in November every single year and you're just kind of done.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's still primaries, there's potential runoffs, but you're really cutting the amount of voting compared to what like a Dallas like
Hmm.
has by about half.
Yep.
And so that's what I tried to emulate. And like Houston has some of the highest municipal voter turnout of any city in Texas that doesn't latch on to the presidential and gubernatorials.
Hmm.
So I mean, it was a long, long process through charter commission, through council, through the legislature, because in the state of Texas, like you can have your elections in May or November, you can have your elections in odd or even years, but to change anything, you generally have to go to the state for permission because, small government, local control. But that's just how things work in Texas. We love it.
Well, I'm a huge fan
Yeah,
of November for municipal elections, and
yeah,
I it's a personal preference. I would have loved the opportunity to run with a D by my name on the fucking
yeah,
ballot.
yeah.
And I'd rather win a shit fight in March where we're talking about issues and there's less like attack politics
Yeah.
and then not necessarily even have to worry that much about November, you know? That
Yeah.
would have been the case for me if I had been able to run as a partisan city council candidate. I would have beaten somebody in March
Yeah.
and then I could go work for other candidates
And
until the November election.
yeah. And that's just, I mean, that's not how things work even in like an Austin or El Paso. Because like Austin
Yeah,
and El Paso, essentially their first round is in November of even numbered years.
right.
And then there's a December runoff if needed. Which,
Well, that's the other thing I don't like is the December runoff. I have
yeah,
not enjoyed the one time I've actually campaigned in December.
yeah,
And it was, it was to replace Dwayne,
yeah,
and and it was miserable weather the entire time. You're campaigning during Thanksgiving,
yeah.
and like me and Scott would be walking in like sleet and block walking out of District 3, and it was just or 4, and it was
Or,
just
yeah,
miserable. But still with that experience, what I see in Austin and El Paso and Mesquite
yeah,
is that shit still works. The
yeah.
December runoff still has decent turnout.
It's actually technical. It's a smidge higher than cities that have June runoffs. So like if you compare May odd to November odd, November odd
Mhm.
has like massive, like double turnout that May odd does. December versus June, December beats it by like a hair, a
A little
smidge.
bit.
Like probably statistically insignificant, but essentially like you don't, it's not like November's a lot higher than May and then
Mhm.
June is higher than December. My best working theory as to why that is, and obviously like the data is clear, like the data is December is equal or slightly better than June, but the why, my guess is that everyone's here in early December. Like no one's taking vacation days, school's
Mhm.
in session. It could be a little bit harder for campaigns to like go knock on doors given like daylight and maybe some weather in like some weird years, but everyone's butt is in their house in December versus in June, school's out for the summer, baby. And
Mhm.
June is one of like the biggest vacation months in the entire
Yep.
country. I was actually joking a long time ago with Tim Rogers at D Magazine about this via email, and he asked me about it, and I said, Tim, what is the front page cover of D Magazine in June every single year? And he was like, it's the vacation issue. And I was like, yep. And you're asking people to vote at like their local elementary school or government center, but they're not in town.
I, it- Side note, the fact that you knew what the theme of his June cover was, he probably got a semi.
I didn't know it off the top of my head. I just had a hunch. And then I looked it up and I went through the back issues and I was like, oh, it's vacation like 20 I mean I've maybe we were talking about this in like 23, but like I looked at like 23, 22, 21, and like all of them were the vacation issue. And I was like, yep, I got them. Hook, line, sinker.
Well, and obviously the solution to the December runoff is that we need to not have any fucking runoffs anymore. It would
Yeah.
be, ranked choice is where it's at, but that would have taken
Yeah.
Jesus Christ himself working the legislature, and I would have given him about a 30% chance.
Yeah. Well, the way we could avoid it is if every single registered Dallas voter joined the military and we all got shipped overseas simultaneously. I think military ballots can sometimes have ranked choice voting.
Really?
I think
Jeez
so.
Louise, that's cool.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is join the armed forces today. This podcast sponsored by Army Recruiting.
Oh.
Yeah. No, but I mean it was tough. Like it actually failed at the charter review level, commission level. And like really and the thing that struck me is like very funny during that is that if we removed everyone from charter review commission that had ever run and won a nonpartisan election and we removed them from voting, it would have won at the charter review level. We won with people that had like never run for office before, or Alan Vaught voted for it and he had won a partisan election in high turnout. Like we won with normal people and we lost with former nonpartisan elected officials. And then we tried again at the council level. It originally failed. It failed 1 to 14 at the council level. Then we brought it back up. again with just like more public pressure and then one tweak to it. Originally, it was changing the charter to actually make it November in the charter, and the compromise was just take the date out of the charter. And that got enough people saying like sure whatever. I give a lot of credit. Like it was actually like Janie Schultz was probably like number two on it. And then, like Paula Blackman, Adam Basildua, Jaime Resendez, Gay Willis, Kathy Stewart, like that's when it started to like pick up some momentum and we finally got it over the finish line into the ballot. And then the ballot, like the voters was the easy part, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah, well, you and Chad deserve big credit for the getting it onto the ballot, like working the council to get that done.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't know what Nathan had to do to get it out of the Senate.
I don't want to
I
diminish
probably don't
that, but
want to know.
the Senate was actually easy.
Yeah, but the
And
House
it's
was terrible, right?
House was very hard. So the Senate was easy actually because the committee chair was Brian Hughes, a Republican senator from East Texas, who was actually very good on this issue. Um,
He's very good on a startling number of issues. And so then it just alarms me when every now and then I'm reminded that
yeah.
he is a horrific white nationalist.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a man of many layers, I guess you could say.
I mean, he was by far the star of the Senate in terms of his legislative agenda this last session.
Yeah, he
And
did very well.
and I'm a big fan of most of what he did.
Yeah. And actually, he personally introduced and got a bill through the Senate that would have killed the May election date for the entire state in the future.
Wow.
He got it through the Senate because um, yeah, he views it as like inefficient, which technically he's right.
I
But
love
it's
that that's the argument people have to fall back on. Oh, we're saving you a little bit of money, an amount of money that you didn't know your city was spending.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Like the May election actually like waste a lot of fucking money. Like it's kind of funny. Like I mean, we were talking about, like libraries and like swimming pools and things like this over, budget season. And it was like, did you know your city's wasting like hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure you don't vote? But yeah, Senate again, like really appreciate Senator Johnson and West who got this through, but like Senate wasn't that hard.
Good.
Then the House was really hard because the committee chair was Matt Shaheen out of Plano, and I don't think it was about the merits of the bill. I think it was about the Plano versus Dallas feud. I could be wrong, but that's the sense I got. Is this was the city of Dallas putting in a local control request, and we're not going to give the city of Dallas local control. Because even during testimony at committee, um, there were maybe three like Republican speakers in favor of it. Like it was pretty clear this was like a bipartisan, nonpartisan type bill.
Mhm.
It had just passed out of the Senate, like 31-0. There was actually a great moment where there's a former Harris County Republican elected official who was like taking it upon himself to like show up to the ledge and speak on all like elections related bills. And the guy's like very, very conservative. He spoke in favor of this bill, saying like Dallas should emulate Harris on this type of issue. And then Anchia, who really championed the bill in the state house, and him hugged it out after his testimony. And it was
Nice.
like this like really funny moment on the floor. And then it stalled in the Senate or stalled in the House for forever. We finally got it dislodged. That I can't really say how we got it dislodged, but it got dislodged. Got it to the floor, and at that point it was easy. Like once the members have to vote on it, it becomes easy because like we weren't the only city asking for this session. Like I think Mission and Alpine had already got theirs signed by the governor or sent to the governor by the time ours hit the floor. Like this shit gets approved all the time. Easy. And then it had to go back to council. And I think at the council level it was hard until it wasn't, I think.
Well, it's one of these things. It's like it it's not conservative or liberal to say that you want greater voter participation.
Yeah.
Now, because of the way our country is, greater voter participation means a bluer mix of voters. And
But
so,
not anymore, really. Like,
really?
yeah, so in like 2024, for instance, if only people that had voted in 2018, 2020, and 2022, so essentially you voted in the last three federal elections, but you had to vote in all three, if only those people had voted in 2024, Harris would have beaten Trump.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah,
here's what I'm saying. Municipal voters in May elections are
yeah,
substantially more conservative than November electorates of any kind
yeah. Okay, if you mean that in a nonpartisan sense,
in a nonpartisan sense.
then I would agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that there's like a very much like a status quo type of bias with
Exactly. That's
yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and here's your here's one problem that you faced in Dallas, both on the Charter Review Commission and at council, is many of us are proteges of Anna Casey.
yeah.
And
That was
Anna
very tough.
Casey was the best political consultant who has ever walked the streets of Dallas. And she was right about 99% of things. And this just happens to be in the 1% of things she was wrong about. She believed that moving to November would kill the progressive movement in Dallas because you would have to have so much more money to run. And that's
Yeah,
actually not true.
yeah. I also those types of arguments have never really swayed me, for instance, because like if you
No, she's just
assume,
wrong.
yeah, she was wrong on that. But the other thing is like, let's say that money would buy these higher turnout November elections. Therefore, the money could buy the lower turnout May elections because you're essentially saying money can buy elections, which I'm not saying I disagree with that. I'm just saying like the notion that more people voting makes it easier to buy the election, quote unquote. I don't think turnout really has anything to do with it. I think the amount of money being spent is the thing that has to do with it.
Well, no, it is more expensive, but it's also easier to raise money. So
Yeah,
it's net, it's no big deal.
yeah,
It doesn't change the relative difficulty of things.
yeah.
And it would allow,
That's
and
what
I
I was
hope
trying to say. Sorry. Yeah,
it would allow, and I hope it does allow municipal candidates to run on more progressive platforms than what can be done today. Because today, if you say I want to control the police budget, you're fucked. Like you just can't even say it.
yeah. And I think, more people will vote, which will bring in like more voices. But like at the end of the day, like I genuinely think like a Mendelson easily wins District 12 with higher voter turnout. Like I actually think she is a very accurate representation of that district and, serves it very well. It's just I happen to be a mid 30s person who lives, in North Oak Cliff and has like those types of values. And like my values are very different than hers, but like I actually think she's a very effective and accurate representation of her community. And I do, speaking of Mendelson, I give her a lot of credit. I mean, when the motion was made, the mayor was kind enough to let West make the motion to approve. And the second speaker on it was Mendelson, who basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, obviously. She was like, I kind of hate this. Don't really like it. Didn't support it, but my voters told me yes, so I'm gonna vote for it. And then to her credit, I mean, she accurately roasted uh, the council. Granted, like she was part of it, I think, if my memory serves me, but she was like, we just held a May 2024 bond election, and we're talking about how higher voter turnout is good. And it's like, yeah, like probably shouldn't be doing special elections in May either in the future, but these are regular elections and they should be moved to a better date.
Well, and when you do it, it's going to make a May bond election look even more nefarious. Once
Yeah,
people are like, we never vote for anything then.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, you would know this better than me, but I don't think that they chose May 2024 for the bond election to have low voter turnout because I mean, this stuff would have easily passed in November. Like it's City of Dallas, it's a bond. Like those things pass like whenever you do it. I think I'm not saying it was worth it, but like I think they just wanted the money 6 months sooner. Is that your read?
It's both. They also think that it's easier to pass in May.
Okay, well they're wrong, but like it
I
doesn't.
don't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, I'd heard rumblings too that like bond and charter at the same time, that would have ended up being like a 20 something proposition ballot.
Hmm.
That is very long, and like I don't actually like I'm a firm believer that a long ballot is better than two ballots. Um, but I do think that that is credible. Like that's a credible enough argument when we're getting into that. But yeah, I mean like the bond would have passed in November easy. Um, yeah. But yeah, I mean it was good and like we were shocked. Like we did not expect it passed 15-0 at the council level. Um, I was very shocked. I thought it was gonna get, 3 to 5 no votes, honestly.
I thought you were not going to get Laura or
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing about that is once they saw what was going on, whatever
Yeah.
reservations they had about it, which they did have some, they weren't
Yeah.
important enough to vote against voter participation.
Yeah. And I know who the eighth vote is, or I know who the eighth vote was. I'm not gonna blast that name out publicly, because it was very brave of this person to become the eighth vote. But I think it was one of those things that like once we got eight, I think we had
Hmm.
15 type of thing.
Yeah, the number of 8-7 votes at city council, that's the least common combination.
Yeah.
Like you either people either get the sense that you're going to win and they want to be on
Yeah.
the winning side, or that you're going to lose and they won't even stick their neck out to support something they actually believe in.
Yeah.
It's I'm just describing cowardice.
Yeah. The last night people had left, but the park dedication fee vote at the end of the night, it wasn't 8-7 because people had bounced, but it was a one vote,
One,
right?
yeah, right.
Um, yeah. I mean, I think we've exhausted November elections, but it was a good
Well,
win, good for the
you hit
city.
a theme when you're talking about Kara of she is an accurate representation of the will of the voters of District 12
Yeah.
and in May and probably also in November.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of online weeping and gnashing of teeth and crying about no representation and they aren't listening to us related to the council's vote to study tearing down City Hall.
Yeah.
And this is one of these issues where I strongly support keeping City Hall and fixing it. I mean, and
Yeah.
we can talk about all the reasons for that. But the main thing I want to say to people who came down to the chamber and spoke, and there were tons of them, and they were just about uniformly against it, with the exception of some people who I think are have a financial interest in it. They, it's very clear that that people, when asked about this idea, are pretty much for keeping what we have.
Yeah.
But what I would say to those people is, you voted for this. This
Yeah.
is a natural outcome of having Eric Johnson as a mayor, for instance. And whatever you think you were voting for in terms of your council person, you need to look at what you got
Yeah.
and you need to listen to the words they're saying.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about this too is like I don't remember what was the vote. It might have been the like one of the last straw votes out of the bond, but like the majority of council in 2024 basically voted like City Hall doesn't need any more money.
There were, it was Baz and Kara. It
No,
was
I don't think it was Baz because Baz was the
no
one that.
Baz was trying to get it onto the ballot.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
yeah, Baz. Yeah, sorry.
Baz
Yeah,
was trying to save City Hall.
yeah. No, I know. So, but the majority voted to not give City Hall any money in 2024. Baz was part of the minority. He
Right.
lost. Yeah. But like the majority basically said like we'd rather have money of like discretionary spending in like in our own districts or big citywide projects that I care about. And like they basically took all money away from City Hall. Like I know Ridley has rightly pointed out that like there is actually still some like 2017 bond money that could go towards City Hall, but
But it
it's op
basically just would cover the engineering.
it wouldn't be nearly enough. So I mean like part of like I am not like a like let's go tear it down person. Like what I'm about to say should not be taken as that. I want to be clear, but like I wonder how many of the people that are like very passionate about it right now, once we get like a real price tag on it, and like I think you have mentioned Philip, like the price tags we're getting right now are probably like heavily inflated. But like let's just say it's like 75 million, right? Do you think 75 million could be a a credible enough number right now? Or do you think it's like closer to 50? Do you think I'm not
I
asking you
mean,
to, I mean, like, is it in the range of credibility?
the last official estimate before this weird run up in inflation started was
Yeah.
54 million in the
Oh,
critical
wait,
facilities.
did I say thousand or million?
You said million?
Oh, okay, million. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It was
54 more million.
54
Okay.
million in the critical facilities
Yeah.
subcommittee
Yeah.
of the last bond.
Yeah. So let's just add another 20 million, right?
Sure.
Okay. The economy, both here locally and nationally, is in the absolute fucking shitter right now. Like it just is. We just had a budget shortfall, which I know still means that like budget is bigger than last year, but I mean like the budget is not growing with like the pace of inflation and growth in the city because we're just the economy's not great right now. Like, where are we going to find that 75 million? And would the people that want to save City Hall be willing to strip funding from streets, from parks, from whatever to
Parks
save
for
that
sure.
building?
I would trade
Yeah.
75 million out of the last parks proposition to
And
for
you
City
you
Hall.
would, and
Partly because
I think it's a credible argument, but how many people would?
partly because you can put it in the parks proposition. You
Yeah,
don't
because
have to put it in critical facilities because the plaza, which is the
it's a
main
park.
problem, is a
Yeah.
park.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do think you would lose some support once a price tag goes on it to save it. I think a lot of the support is again like a status quo support where like, it's just like leave it be. Don't tear it down, but also like why are we going to spend 70, like 50, 70, $100 million on it?
Well, I think that anytime you look at a populace
Yeah.
on an issue, there's always schizophrenia
Yeah.
because they might be for City Hall, but against spending money on it, which is a
That's
really
yeah,
weird thing. I think most people
it
who are for
is.
saving City Hall are also for spending the money. I
Yeah.
just think it's you have some people who get weak, I guess, on
Yeah.
that once they see a price tag. Your point is correct,
Yeah.
but I think that you know, I give this back to merits, I guess.
Yeah.
Tearing down something like that, and let's
Yeah.
put to the side the idea that it's going to be ever used for anything other than municipal government.
Yeah.
It's not easily convertible to other uses, so the
Yeah.
city can't really use it for anything else. And there's no other user who's going to buy it and preserve the building. So
No.
this
Tearing it
is
down. Yeah.
well, some of the council members, including Mr. West, have
Uh-huh.
tried to pretend they're third and fourth options. There are no third or fourth
No.
options. We either spend the money and save the building, or we
Yeah.
tear it the fuck down.
Yeah. Those
And
are the
so
two
that,
options, and it's pretty
yeah.
clear.
And so I think that the reputational injury to Dallas from tearing a structure like that down,
Yeah.
especially to enrich Miriam Adelson,
Yeah.
is crushing. I think it really, really hurts Dallas's image, and I think it honestly, even though I'm lecturing people that they voted for this group, I think it would significantly lessen people's respect for this council.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no, because I think people hate the Adelsons both for their politics as well as what they've done to the Mavericks. But I think if that ownership group essentially gun to the head of the city and says like, give us this land or we're leaving, I think most people would say, you gotta agree with the hostage taker. I mean, like you look at like what just happened with the Spurs last week, and Bear County, which is the county over San Antonio, held an election, concurrent with the statewide constitutionals, and it was to give the San Antonio Spurs $500 million of taxpayer money to rehab their current state arena and then simultaneously build a new arena. So they're going to give them a ton of money just to stay where they are right now, and then a ton of money to like move to a different part of San Antonio. I mean, not that far, but like a different arena. Um, $500 million, dollars, and the voters approved it. Um, and that vote kind of does weigh on me in the sense of like I think the average municipal voter would say like keep the Mavs at like close to all cost. And like I really wish, like I genuinely wish the Adelsons were just like putting a gun to the city's head and saying like give us 300, 400, 500 million dollars to fix AAC and we could just fucking pay the ransom. Like I wish that was the case.
Well, so the Adelson's estimate of what they want for the AAC is 300 million, and
Yeah.
that is double anybody else's idea of what needs to happen. And
Yeah. It doesn't need that much work. Unlike San Antonio, like it does not need that much work to be clear. Yeah.
well, it also this isn't work.
Yeah.
This is only a small part of what they're asking for is maintenance.
Yeah.
It's new suites.
Yeah.
And they're talking about a massive internal reconfiguration of the arena that is not necessary in anybody's mind except for the Mavs and Stars.
Yeah.
So,
But I,
you know,
I wish that I
real
wish that
thing,
was the fight we were having. Like I
well, the real
like
thing
really
driving
do.
it is their desire for surrounding retail and
Yeah.
frankly, a casino, which
Yeah.
isn't going to happen. And
Yeah.
so it's so difficult Americans are so fucking stupid when it comes to rich people. They just always confuse money with brains.
Yeah.
And all of the evidence that we've seen from this family is that they're really not very talented.
No,
And
and actually, yeah. So like Adam Lamont, who's like another City of Dallas resident, like does a lot of like activism with City Hall. He wrote one of the best things I think I've read about this, where it was like very much a like, why are they leaving AC? Like, let's say we tear down City Hall and give the Adelsons the land, they're gonna completely botch this project. And I don't think
yes, they are.
I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I don't even think the people that think that like, okay, like if the Adelsons make us do this, like, or if the Adelsons give us this choice, we should do it. Like, even if that's your camp, I don't know that many people that think the Adelsons are actually going to succeed
Right. So
because they're bad
makes
at this.
it makes this argument even more frustrating
Yeah,
for people who don't want to give away City Hall because what is being offered in its place looks bad, looks
yeah.
real bad.
It's going to be worse than the American Airlines Center, which I think American Airlines Center is great.
I was
I
just at a
genuinely
concert
do.
there last week and I was like, who could want to leave this place? It's
I
so fucking cool.
Yeah. And again, like if this was if this was give us $100 million for more suites, for more corporate ticket sales, like fine. Like take the city's $100 million. Like I wish that's where we were at.
Well, and in the United States, it's super easy to find examples of um, just biblical levels of avarice, like just
Yeah.
out and out greed, people stacking up money for the sake of stacking up money. But that's
Yeah.
really what's happening here.
Yeah.
The Mavs are highly profitable
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Adelsons don't need one more fucking dime. They'll be
Yeah.
rich until the next millennium.
Yeah.
So what all you're talking about is dick measuring. All
Yeah.
this is one owner got some sweet package out of some city, and now all the other owners want the same thing.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Yeah. I I think it's going to be a lose-lose. I think I've said before that, like, regardless of where the city goes, I think there's going to be a lot of people 10 years from now saying like the city made the wrong choice. Either way it goes. Like I think you got like two pretty shitty options because the Mavericks are forcing potentially they're forcing two really bad options.
Well, I'll just I'll use me and Melissa as an
Yeah.
example. We invest in Dallas real estate, and our
Yeah.
initial idea was that the company would simply do infill rental affordable.
Yeah.
Because we see that as the biggest need in housing, and also it's a market where we're not competing with people who are way richer or more
Yeah.
experienced than we are.
Yeah.
So that seemed great, but this is not the only issue, but this and some other decisions we've made locally and also with the national and state level shit show that is going on, have made me seriously reevaluate the kinds of risks I want to take in Dallas real estate. And I'm looking for
Yeah.
stuff that I can exit more easily that is going to make money by virtue of building it rather than by virtue of operating it. And it's a really different business. It's not what I wanted to do, but I
Yeah.
just evaluate those risks differently now. And I would like to remain more liquid.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's depressing, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything else to say about the city hall situation other than,
There's gonna
I
be
mean,
so much more
there's
said
going
that
to be so much.
we
And
shouldn't we shouldn't wear people out.
yeah, and one quick thing, the vote to do an independent study on the maintenance of City Hall as well as like feasibility options, like what would happen to the municipal government if the city decided to leave City Hall, that vote passed 12-3.
Hmm.
So it was like a pretty overwhelming majority.
Yep.
It was Ridley, Mendelson, and Blackman who voted no. And you know, you might feel differently, but like it felt like to me with Blackman, it was like her understanding of like how special the space is because she's probably spent more time in it than anyone else on the horseshoe,
Hmm.
for obvious reasons, like having worked for Leopard and Rawlings. But it was almost like a sense of like nostalgia. And I'm not, to be fair, like I'm saying that as a compliment actually, but yeah, like that's how I felt like the coalition got formed of the three on the other side.
Yeah, and
Ridley, preservationist, Blackman, good nostalgia, and Mendelsohn just, you know, she doesn't like big projects in downtown
well,
sometimes.
yeah,
It's more than that. It's more than that, I know, but
and
like
she's really not wrong. I mean,
yeah,
economics on
that's
this
fair.
are disaster for the
Yeah.
city. And it's also Baz. Baz voted after he voted in favor of Ridley's thing. He then also voted in favor of Chad's thing, which is
Yeah.
fine. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
he explained himself adequately to me anyway.
Yeah.
I thought Cadena was the most interesting person because unlike Paula's reaction to having spent so much time in the building, Laura having spent so much time there has made her hate it. Now, that's not what she said, so
Yeah.
I am definitely reading between the lines, but I thought her comments were surprising, and I do actually question how popular that's going to be in District 6.
Yeah. We'll see. I also don't know how salient the issue is. If I'm, like, do voters really even care at this point? Like the normal.
It's hard for me to see because I'm East
Yeah,
Dallas
you're in.
Mafia until I die.
Yeah.
And so I have a bad sample. I'm not going to be a good pollster on this.
Yeah. No, I mean, on the one sense, like on the, I guess like base merits of it, it's not something that should rise to the top. I think because this is one of those things that like it actually does kind of remind me of the old like status quo versus like reformer type thing that used to happen a lot more at City Hall that has really died down in the last like 6, 7 years. It's, it reminds me of the things that like you and Scott and Madrano and others would rail against the majority. But this feels like one of the first like cases of that in a long time. And I'm
Well,
not saying that like the minority was like the reformers, but it felt like one of those situations again.
and I'm not saying that I'm depressed, um, although I do take medication. But the thing that I've learned about Dallas politics is that the only time there is a viable reform movement is when there is something like a toll road that's so fucking
So
stupid
bad. Yeah.
that you can build a coalition of people who understand how stupid is. And it feels
Yeah.
like this might be a germ of that. Like if people start to
Yeah.
think about what the actual numbers are going to be, because it's not just City Hall.
Yeah.
You're then going to be asked to build the new stadium. They're not going to want to
Yeah.
pay one dime of their own money for that. So
No. They're gonna ask yeah.
we're talking about voters um, messing with a situation that could go off and cost them $1 billion.
Yes, and something to remember, I would agree with you 100%. Trinity Toll Road was a terrible idea. It was actually one of the like formative things that got me interested in city government as like I hated it as a teenager. Angela Hunt got it to the ballot, and what did voters say? Let's do the stupidest thing possible.
Yeah, but that election was narrow as
It,
fuck.
I
And we have
know.
learned in since then that
Yeah.
both City Hall and the morning news sat on stuff that would have flipped that vote.
Yeah.
So that was that. I mean, yes, I hear
But
what you're saying, but
yeah,
there was absolute wrongdoing in that race.
I
And
don't
Tom
disagree.
Leppard is
Like,
a fucking liar. He is a
yeah,
lying sack of crap.
I
Do you know
don't
he has a podcast now?
I think I heard that, yeah.
We
Somebody
need to
told me.
listen to it and react.
I'm
We need a
not
reaction
listening. I'm
video.
not listening to it. You cannot make me. I will refuse. No, but I say all I mean the reason I brought it up though is because like this shit is like hard to predict. Like voters
Hmm.
choose bad options. And
They
like
do.
you put the Mavericks logo next to a bad option and like by God are we doing it, you know?
Yeah, I
And
hear you.
we have a bias in elections, like we have a bias to build big shiny things, whether it's a toll road, whether it's the convention center hotel, which that one was always like more of like a boondoggle than like a bad idea, I would say. Um, like the toll road would have been like actively destructive. The Omni is like fine, like it's there, it's cool. Like,
It's
did we
going to
really need?
cost us a lot of money.
Yeah, it's gonna cost us a lot of money. It made some rich people richer. It's kind of cool that it's there, I guess. Um, Not as bad as the toll road would have
Yeah,
been. But like we have a bias to like let's go do big shiny things if it's put on our ballot. It's why bonds pass,
yeah.
even though those are small shiny things.
Do we need to
Okay,
talk about Dart? You're going to
we
love
could.
the rumor.
What's the rumor?
Okay, so Dart is facing pullback elections in three of the member cities.
Yeah,
Plano being the biggest problem
yeah,
and the one who went first. And
yeah,
Plano's demand is essentially that they want half of their penny back. The
yeah,
member cities all pay 1 penny of their sales tax income into DART to fund DART, and they want half back. So that and they what they want to do that DART has not agreed to and probably won't, but what their idea is that they will continue to have light rail service, but they will give up all their bus service.
yeah. I saw that. Yeah,
And the reason this is important is because they want to build an arena for the Stars
yeah,
on the Red Line and or perhaps on the Silver Line, I don't know.
yeah,
And get the Stars from us in addition to taking away half of their penny. Um, and it bears noting that the Star's lawyer is Plano's former representative on the dartboard.
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No, I mean it's a mess. It would completely explain, honestly, why they want to keep the rail because they know they would need it. Because I think, we've talked about before, like I like Dart, I take Dart. Not everyone in Dallas takes Dart, but one of the things that people actually do legitimately take Dart for is to go to the American Airlines Center. And if they, do the Stars Arena up in Plano off of the red line, I think people would legitimately take it up there.
I do too. The interesting thing here is that the stars don't seem to care. They don't seem to think that the transit is that important for them, which is very weird because they've got season ticket holders who exclusively ride TRE or DART to the games.
Yeah. But I think it shows that like the Stars and Mavericks obviously have a weird sense of like the economics around their business. Um, and I mean like they shouldn't pay a dime of like building out the light rail or the public transit. Like that should be out of, public funds that, service the entire
No, of
system.
course. Yeah.
But it's like they don't recognize like how beneficial it is to their business model. You know, it's weird. But who's it up to now? It's Plano, Highland Park, Farmers Branch, Irving are the four.
You could be right about that.
Okay. That's good to know. It's a weird coalition. Like it's weird to see Highland Park without University Park.
Hmm.
It's weird to see Farmers Branch without Carrollton, which, I
Well,
think
and the other
Carrollton's a
thing
lot
to
bigger on it, but
remember is that some of these places, like the Park Cities in particular, generate so little sales tax that it's not that consequential. But it looks really bad, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I had a very funny meeting years ago with the former CEO of Dart where we were talking about the streetcar extension that actually may come in sometime next
yeah,
year.
yeah,
Had a nice talk with Gus Carley about progress on that. It sounds like there actually is progress,
yeah.
which is great. But yeah, the former CEO showed me some maps that he had made of potential streetcar lines through the park cities.
Uh-huh.
And I said, have you shown these to them? He says, I did. I said, and that went well? He's like, it did not.
That's funny. Oh my God. Yeah,
The other
we'll
thing on
we'll
your
see what they do.
the other thing on your list you'd sent me is HEB
Oh yeah, just that was like one of those things. It didn't hit full council yesterday, but
Wednesday.
you started to see some speakers come out against the HEB development up in North Dallas. And that to me is like one of those like I think for most people like YIMBY, NIMBY is like a spectrum, you know? It's like I don't think you'd find really anyone that wants to or anyone other than like maybe some developers that stand to make money off of it, like would want to build like 100-story apartment complex next to single family homes. Like that's fucking ridiculous. Um, type of thing versus like, on the flip side, like I honestly think like accessory dwelling units are probably like massively popular, like and the people that fight them are like in the extreme minority. Like building an HEB on commercial land, that's got to be like a 90-10 type of issue. And like
Oh,
that is
more,
like
I'd say more.
more, yeah, more. And that's me being like generous. Like actually like here in North Oak Cliff, obviously as everyone knows, like I'm close with Chad West. Like he has mentioned that when they had to do a rezoning change to get a Sprouts grocery store, that was probably the single like most like yes versus no, like in favor of yes, thing he's ever had like while he served on council. Essentially, like the people who did not want a grocery store near them were, very loud, very vocal, all that kind of stuff. But like they just got like absolutely swamped out by quite honestly like normies coming out
Yeah.
and saying like, why wouldn't you build a grocery store? Like that is a 2-minute drive away from my house. What the fuck are you talking about?
And
And
it's
like
been enormously popular and successful.
yeah, it
And
has
and it
been.
has not created any of the problems that the NIMBYs were citing.
No, of course not, because it's a grocery store. And so like and like HEB, I mean, you get this better than most because, coming from cent South Central Texas, I guess. Is that an accurate
I'm
statement, South
from San
Central?
Antonio.
Yeah, no, I know.
I have been to the headquarters many times.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you're
I
from
have
San
raised
Antonio.
money from their C-suite more than one time.
Yeah, so like people love HEB and like even North Texans love HEB. And so I couldn't think of a dumber hill for like these like North Dallas NIMBYs to die on than opposing an HEB.
Well, let me tell you, when I first saw that there was opposition, I was like, that is AstroTurf. That
Yeah,
is
it is.
AstroTurf. And I got to the bottom of it. The AstroTurfer in chief called me
That's funny.
because she's friends with Andy Summerman,
Yeah,
and she called me to see if I could get it sent back to Plan Commission. I was like, for what? And she's like,
yeah,
well, we think that the traffic plan just doesn't work. Well, the thing that doesn't work for her is that she owns an office building next door to it.
yeah.
And she thinks that
That's funny.
that she's going to get people driving through her private drive, you know? And it's just I was like, ma'am, I'm like, if you and she's like, and we're hearing they're not going to build the right turn lane, which HEB's dying to build the right turn lane. They need it more than anybody else.
Yeah,
So they she I was I, and I ended the call with, look, if you want me to get in touch with the HEB people, I know who they are,
yeah.
and they're not totally unreasonable, although they're pretty unreasonable. And
Well, I mean,
I
you know that better than most given what's happening in Uptown right now.
yeah, I'm going to lose my mind. We're having a future show over that. Um, so I said, look, if the goal is to send it back to CPC, I can't get it done. And my opinion is not that I can't get it done, is my opinion that no one can get it done.
Yeah,
And I said, and if your goal is to stop it, then you should definitely forget that. That's not
yeah.
possible. But if there's a tweak I can help you with, I
Who
will. And that I just didn't hear back from her.
whose council
It,
district is it in?
it's in Bill Ross, I think.
Ross. Okay, so it's an
Yeah.
11, not 12. And I will say, like, I think
It's
Bill
right next to
Ross
the
will
county
listen.
building up there.
Yeah, yeah. I think Bill's gonna listen to his constituents. I genuinely do. Like, I think he's gonna do what the majority of the feedback wants. I think that's the reputation he's building for himself. I just think once the normies get involved, it is gonna be very abundantly clear that people want the dang grocery store.
Oh, they do. And the people who aren't familiar with HEB aren't aware of how much they've been missing.
Yeah.
Like when I moved to Dallas, I, I moved
It's
to
yeah,
Dallas because Melissa brought me up here.
yeah.
And
She betrayed you by
that is
bringing you to a
wonderful.
non-HEB land.
That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
And obviously, I'm very happy about that long term. But the
yeah,
first year I was in Dallas, I was a young lawyer, my first job out of school, working 80, 90 hours a week, just like killing it. And
yeah,
we're, I'm living in this land where there's no decent grocery store
yeah.
and the Mexican food sucks. And I swear to God, when I remember the year 1999, it just feels like a black cloud is
To
descending on me.
to be fair, the Mexican food sucked north of the Trinity River.
I agree with that a little bit.
Okay.
It has gotten
Compared to if you
better.
compare it to San Antonio, sure. Okay.
That's the thing. That's the
That's
problem, right?
okay.
I'm an unapologetic snob.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you can't insult me by
It's
saying I'm a
not
snob.
the like, Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, etc. Mexican food is good. It's very good. It has always been very good. Maybe not as good as San Antonio, sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. Fair enough. But wait, so you said this was 99?
Hmm.
Had they developed Central Market by then?
Well, Central Market existed, it wasn't here.
Okay, because this was
The
because
nicest
Lover's.
grocery store in town had just opened, and it was the Simon David up on Bodecker.
Oh yeah, yeah. They then got acquired by Tom Thumb, right?
Or maybe always was. Maybe it was
Okay,
just an
it might have
upscale
been Tom
brand.
Thumb's. It might have been Tom Thumb's Central Market. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, but
So anyway, just the average grocery store that you could go to, the Tom Thumb or the Kroger
yeah,
around the
not
corner, was
good.
just terrible.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was depressed. But my point to get back to the HEB thing is people who haven't had an experience with it aren't yet aware of how much they're going to love it.
Yeah.
And
And that,
this is the opposition of this is less than 10%.
yeah,
It is
it's very
truly
small.
astroturf.
No, one of my favorite speakers on it because I heard them was basically somebody saying, I love HEB. I just don't want an HEB in my neighborhood. I would rather drive to the HEB further away from me than have an HEB near me, which is like such a like, oh, you're a retired person with a lot of time on your hands type of answer. Like,
Also, everybody needs to look at the fucking map. The
yeah.
northern border of the property they are proposing to build on is 635. Where does a grocery store go if it's not 635?
I don't know. It's yeah, it's funny. I mean, I'm waiting for the first HEB here in North Oak Cliff, whether it be HEB or whether it be the Central Market Division actually owns a plot of land here in North Oak Cliff, which is wild to say. But you know, hopefully we'll get it sometime soon.
Actually, what they have is a consolidated real estate department. So you never really know what concept they're thinking of for that
They
dirt.
yeah,
And they have multiple times around Texas, not here
yeah.
locally, have said, okay, this is going to be a central market, and it wound up being HEB
Yeah,
or
which is totally
whatever,
fine.
which
Like
is fine.
totally fine. But I and you're right, but like HEB has said this is for the central market division, which is actually why we're not building it yet. Because like they've used some excuse that because central market, just like Joe V's or whatever, they're so niche and such a small part of their business model overall that they only build or renovate one at a time. So that
Yeah,
is, like, and I know it's corporate speak, but like that is essentially why like nobody has expected any big movement on the North Oak Cliff plot.
and there are lots of ways to make the economic argument. They've got all this data about what is the income within a radius of the
Yeah,
store and all of that, and they can use that to say we're giving you poors this Joe V's,
yeah.
and
Which Joe V's is
but
great. It's actually probably one of the better grocery stores in
no,
the
it's
entire
great.
city. Yeah,
It's fine. I'm not,
yeah,
but it is a little bit.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't love the segregation play, but
That's
I'll tell
true.
you what the real history is. They moved into Houston as their first big expansion of the chain
Yeah,
way back in the 80s, maybe late 70s, I don't know.
yeah.
And they overexpanded and were forced to close stores or abandon plans.
Wow.
And they're not a company that likes to lay anybody off. And I don't think they
Yeah,
did actually, but I think it was very traumatic and is still remembered because the
yeah,
same people are still in charge.
yeah. It's the Butts.
Yeah.
Literally. Last name is that's why it's HEB. The B stands for Butt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm well aware.
I know you know, but I don't think
First
everyone
store, first,
listening
first
knows.
store in Kerrville.
Yeah. Oh, also, you'll appreciate this. A lot of people have like told me in the past like 2 weeks that they listened to this, like more than have told me ever before, which is like a very weird feeling. Like I thought we were just talking into the void, and apparently not.
Well, I don't know. I think I've said this before. The podcast, um, my former boss, James Stanton,
Yeah.
said, how do you gauge success for a podcast? And I was like, well, if you're Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
you have 9 digits in the number, maybe
Yeah.
10 digits in the number, and
Yeah.
and you judge it by it makes a lot of money. I said, we have 1,500 or so individual listeners
Yeah.
that are at least one-time listeners, and we probably got 300 who are pretty regular. And
Yeah.
what I judge as success is I know who they are,
Yeah.
and they're exactly who I want to be speaking to.
That's fair. Yeah.
I don't have to,
Hopefully.
I don't necessarily have to tell council what I think because I think they frequently already know.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, I probably gotta
Yeah, me
get
too. I gotta go
prepped
to
for
school
Monday.
pickup soon.
Oh yeah, you got kid stuff to do. I've actually got
Yeah,
to go be a lawyer on Monday. I'm dreading it, but
have fun.
I brought it on myself.
Okay.